Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I'm a knitter and maker living in Seattle, Washington. And today I'm going to talk to you about the projects that I worked on in the month of April. Can't believe it's already May. I feel like the year is going very fast, but also very slow. Time is weird. But I don't have a lot of chit-chatting to do here at the beginning, so let's just talk about things. I have a couple knitting things to talk to you about, a couple sewing things to talk to you about, and a couple spinning things to talk to you about. So it'll be very a diverse amount of content today. Cool. So we'll start with the knitting stuff, and I will start with my finished object number one. Actually, I have two. Very exciting. Big thing. No, I have three. Real big month for me. My first one is what I'm wearing, which is my Miles shirt jacket by Ozetta. I will put in some B-roll of me wearing it because it's long and you can't really see the whole thing, even if I stand up. So I'll put in a little clip over here of me showing it off, but I really like it. I like it a lot. I was a little skeptical when I first finished it, but I've worn it a few times now and I do really like it a lot. I don't have buttons on it yet. That's the only thing because I'm just not sure I found the right ones. I have these in my stash that I think are okay, but I'm not obsessed with them. I still am thinking maybe toggle buttons. I haven't like gone out to look for buttons or bought anything yet, but I don't really imagine myself buttoning this up anytime soon, so I'm okay to leave it without buttons until I find the perfect ones. Um, but anyway, kind of jumping the gun a little bit. This is the Miles shirt jacket by Ozetta, and I made it in the recommended yarn, which is Manchalopes by Wool Dreamers. It's an unspun yarn, 100% Spanish wool, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I did a swatch when I started this project. My gauge was a little bit tight, so I figured I would do the size large to get this similar ease to the size medium. I think as I was knitting, my gauge loosened up, so it's probably more like a large than a medium, but I'm really happy with the fit. I don't think it's too oversized, and it serves a really good purpose in my wardrobe. I'm wearing this today. I actually just went for a walk with my little girl, and it was perfect because it's great. It's so easy to throw on because it's pretty light because of the unspun yarn. It like weighs, I use less than 400 grams of yarn for this thing. And it's really big and long. So it's super light, but it's nice and warm, but it's not too warm because the gauge is open. So like it's very breathable. I'm a little warm because we were walking and it's sunny and I'm wearing a long sleeve t-shirt under this, but it's really comfortable. It's good for in the morning when my house is cold. I can just throw it on over my PJs or whatever, like a bathrobe, but it also looks really cute to wear out and about. The only thing I don't love about it is that the collar is a bit floppy. I kind of wish it stood up a little bit more. I think. So I think what I might try is to put either some like grosgrain ribbon in there to kind of give it a little more stability, or some of that like horsehair tape that you see in like fine tailoring. It just adds a little stiffness. This is a double folded collar, so I could just pick open the seam here at the edge and put it through, and then sew it back up. I have a little bit of yarn left over, so I could do that pretty easily. But now that I've worn it a few times, I actually don't mind that the collar's a little floppy. I don't know. I'll decide later, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. The sleeves are a really good length, depending. I mean, I feel like they're about the same length. They're like a little longer than my wrist, this is about where I really like a sleeve. This isn't quite to my knuckles, which is what I would do for a sweater, but I think it's a practical length because it's longer than my wrist because I don't love a bracelet length, but it's not too long that it's getting in my way when I'm trying to like do things at the house or take care of the baby or whatever. So yeah, that is where I'm at with this. I finally sewed the pockets on. That was what took me so long, and it was tedious. And I realized, my swatch when I first made this was of one of the pockets, and then the last thing that I knit was the other pocket. And I guess that's how I realized that my gauge had loosened up, because the pockets were drastically different sizes. Not only because my gauge changed, but also because when I cast, there's like for the first two sizes, you do a certain number of stitches, and then for the second two sizes, you add a couple more stitches to the swatch. And so I guess when I swatched the first time, I did the smaller size pocket, and when I swatched the second time, I did the bigger size pocket. So one of them is actually significantly larger than the other one. I'm not sure that you're going to be able to tell. I think this is the bigger one, but I honestly couldn't tell you. But anyway, I'm really happy with this. I think it turned out really cute. And yeah, the pattern called for 5 skeins of yarn for this. I used less than 4. So this is actually a really economical project. depending on where you buy the yarn. I really like this yarn, by the way. I bought this yarn in Europe where it's like €8 a plate. So 8 times 4, 32 euros for like a really good oversized jacket. The problem is that Mantelobis in the US is like $18, more than double the price, which is crazy. So less economical if you buy the yarn from a local place here in the US. You can order it from Europe for less than you can probably buy it for here, which carbon footprint wise is maybe not the best, but price wise it is. So I don't know, to each their own. But that's what we're working with, and I'm really happy with it. I think I will wear it a lot. And this is actually the first garment I finished for myself this year. So that's very exciting. We're going to pause because my baby's awake and I need to go check on her. Okay, we're back. She's asleep again, but the baby monitor's here, so if I'm looking down, that's why. Okay, anyway. I think that's all I have to say about the jacket. I really like it. I'm really happy with it. I didn't really end up changing the ribbing length, except for on the bottom, I added like a couple more rows of rib. So all the ribs are different, but it's not a lot big of a deal. I need to just get over myself on that thing. So yes, I'm really happy with it. I love it. I guess the only other thing is that I knitted it like an inch longer than the pattern recommended. And I still thought it was a little short, so I blocked it really long. Like I stretched it a lot when I was blocking because I had the extra width from it being a size large. And I laid it flat and like pinned it out. And I think when I blocked it, the front ended up being a little bit longer than the back. So I might try and like steam it out on the back to stretch the back a little bit more. I do find it's kind of hard to get the little scallopy edge to lay flat. You do really have to pin this to block it, I feel like, if you want everything to lay nicely. But all in all, I'm really happy with it. And I think it's great. And it fills a good gap in my wardrobe. I don't have a lot of cardigans. I have one other cardigan that I've knit and a couple ready to wear cardigans. But I like this a lot. I like the oversized. It's very versatile. And I will probably wear it all year round. So that's it on my Miles jacket. Okay, my next finished object you have not seen before because it was a spontaneous test knit. Right after I finished the Miles jacket, this popped up on my Instagram feed and I was like, I like that. I want to do it. So I made this. This is the Cassandra vest by Nash Knits, and I knit it in my leftover yarn from this jacket. I had a full plate left over of the Mantelopes, so I used that held with one strand of drops mohair, which I had left over from when I made myself the Amy slipover in 2022. And I think it's really fun because my Amy slipover is brown, obviously, and it's a tie-side vest. And now she has a tie-side vest in brown. So we can match if I wear this. We can match if I wear my Amy slipover. It's very fun. There's also going to be an adult version of the Cassandra vest, but I'm not sure if I'm going to make that since I already have another tie-side vest. But anyway, I really like this. I knit the size 6 to 12 months, but I think my gauge was slightly too big because this is really large. I think this is more of like a 12 to 18 month size. I probably would have done better if I had just used one strand of the Mantelopes with the mohair, but I used two just because that's how it comes in the plate and I didn't feel like separating it. But it's really cute and I'm very happy with how it turned out. This used almost a whole plate of Mantelopes and like almost two balls of mohair, I would say. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out. It has these really cute details on the neck and on the sides that are similar to the Cloud series by Petite Knit. It's just stockinette that rolls back on itself, but I really like how it looks. And it's garter stitch to continue my garter stitch theme from last year, and it's so much garter stitch. I've just been continuously knitting garter stitch for like a year now. And then I love the little scallop detail on the bottom. I think it's very cute. So I'm really happy with how this came out. It's very clever, the construction. I think it looks really clean and professional. I had like no problems with the pattern at all. It was really well written. It was my first time doing a pattern from Nash Knits. But I really like her stuff. She has some really, really cute kids patterns and lots of like coordinating kids patterns and adult patterns. So you could do like a mommy and me thing or a daddy and me, whatever. Lots of cute stuff. But and she also does like this, I think for this vest specifically, this is the baby size, and then there's like a toddler size, kid size, and then the adult size. So if you could have one for everyone in your family of all ages. It ties on the sides with these little I cords, which I think I probably should have made a little bit longer, but I do think that they work. And yeah, so I haven't put Caroline in this yet because she's only 3 months old and this is 6 to 12 and beyond. I think she will be, but this will work for next winter, which is kind of what I was thinking. And all in all, I just think it's adorable. I did not make any modifications because it was a test knit, except for that I think my gauge is a little bit off, but overall, I think it's great. And because this yarn is a little bit rustic, um, but with the mohair, I think it softens it up. And because this is an outerwear piece, basically, it will never be next to her skin. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think it will just keep her warm. And by the time she's big enough to wear it, I think it'll be perfect because she's going to want to have her arms free and she'll want to be running around, being a menace and making messes and things. And I think this will be great to keep her warm. Feels like a good playground object to like just throw on over whatever you're wearing and run around at the playground. So I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I think it's just so darling. I love the color. This is the Manchalopes. I think it's medium gray, it's called, but it's definitely brown. Um, I am seeing already, I guess we're just going back and forth. We're just going to talk about Manchalopes now. There's a little, you're not going to be able to see because of the light in here, but there's a tiny bit of pilling here under my arm. And I've only worn this jacket like 3 times probably. So there's a couple pills, but they pull right off. Um, and I don't think it's going to pill terribly, even though it's just unspun yarn, because it's a little bit more rustic. I think it's going to be grippier and it'll be fine. Sorry, there's like a glare from me talking to you in the monitor screen, and I think she's moving, but she's not. Anyway, the only other thing I want to say about the Manchalopes is that there's a lot of stuff in it. Like there's a lot of vegetable matter, and there's a lot of these. I'll see if I can show you them. Okay, is it going to focus? There's a lot of these like little coarse white things. Maybe you can see it better on my jacket. Um, like all of these little coarse white pieces. That's not even one of them. They come out when you're knitting, but some of them don't. There's like this. I don't know that you're gonna be able to see this at all, but it's like this little coarse white hair. I don't know if it's like a guard hair in the breed of sheep that uses the yarn, or that the yarn comes from, but there's a lot of like just stuff that falls out. So it's kind of a messy yarn to knit with, I find. Um, Lots of vegetable matter, but I feel like it's pretty minimally processed because it's unspun and undyed. So I'm a rustic wool girly, you know that about me. So I'm not like put off by it, but some people might be. Like there's some trying to pick some vegetable matter out of this. Uh, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, um, I think it's really cute. I can't wait to see her in this. It's gonna be a while, but there's another piece. There's just like these little coarse bits in this yarn. Anyway, that's enough about that. I'm really happy with this. I think it's darling. I love the scallop, and maybe I will end up making one for myself. Probably not in brown, but it'd be fun. I do have some bulky yarn that could work for this. Um, the pattern calls for drops air, which is like a blown yarn, but I feel like unspun yarn is a good substitute for blown yarns because it's airy, lightweight, fluffy, and knits up at a bigger gauge than you would expect it to. So food for thought. If you're like not really a blown yarn person, maybe try unspun because similar look, similar feel, usually less expensive. Blown yarns generally tend to be kind of expensive. So anyway, whoa, I love it. I think it's adorable and I can't wait to put her in it. But I can because she's growing up too fast. Okay, finished object number 3 is just a little guy. This little hat. I made this for our neighbor down the street, their daughter. Um, our neighbor helped us with some work at our house, and so James promised that I would make her a hat as repayment. So I made her this. This is the Pearl Soho Classic ribbed hat. I did the thick stripe version. They recently revamped the pattern with a couple, like there's thin stripes, thick stripes, color blocks, and then plain. So there's instructions for how to do it in a bunch of different ways. And I've made the hat before. I really like it. It's pretty easy, classic hat pattern. And so I did the thick stripe version. And here it is. This yarn was a hat that I had knit for myself previously that was color blocked, like all of this beige color, and then this rust color was at the top, but I never wore it. So I ripped it out and used it for her hat because her parents said they like to put her in earth tones. And so I had this. The beige, I think, is Patton's Classic Wool Worsted. And then the rust color was just like a white yarn that I had in my stash that I dyed with onion skins like a long time ago. I think I did it in 2020 actually. So like before I was ever talking about knitting on the internet. Um, one of my many lockdown activities was trying out some natural dyeing, and this was the most successful of those experiments. So here it is. It's really cute. I do need to block it and finish weaving in all the ends, but I think it's really cute. Um, I think it will fit. She's two, the little girl down the street. So I think it'll fit her nicely. It's a little stiff. I used 3.25 millimeter needles, which is what the pattern calls for. Um, so it's kind of stiff, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And it turned out really cute. I knit it up pretty quickly, and I like how like the brim is folded up, but you can't really tell because of the stripes lining up. So yeah, it's cute. Um, I will block it and then give it to her probably today or tomorrow. So glad I got to show it to you before it passed it off to its new friend. But there it is. Very cute, very easy, very fun. All right, that is it for finished objects knitting wise. I have some plans to talk to you about and some swatches to show you, but I'll do that at the end after I talk about my sewing finished objects. Which the first one I want to show you is my Sid tie dress, which I had talked about as a work in progress in my last video. This is a pattern from Sydney, hi, Sydney Graham. And I really, really like it. I love how it turned out. The fabric is like a cotton, I think it's a cotton poly blend that I bought at an estate sale last year with my friend Meg. Um, and it turned out so cute. I made the sleeveless dress version. There are a bunch of versions of the pattern. Um, but yes, I love how it turned out. And I'm really happy with it. The only change I made from the pattern is that I did use just bias tape for the bias binding around the neck and the arms because I didn't cut the fabric out on the bias originally, and I hate making bias tape. And so when I realized I had cut it out wrong, I was like, I don't want to re-cut out bias binding, so I just used some bias tape that I had in my stash, and it worked just fine. So yes, that is that for this. I did the two tiers version. I'll put a video of me wearing it so you can see what it looks like. I made the size 10, I believe, which fits fine. I think maybe it's a little bit big. So maybe I would go down in the future. I'm gonna make the top version, the little like Ganny hack that she has of it, where you do shorter sleeves and like a little peplum. I think it's very cute. I do want to do that soon in some green fabric that I dyed. So yeah, that's on my radar to make the shirt version, and maybe I'll go down the sides when I do the shirt. Um, but anyway, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's really cute. It'll be great for summer. And actually, I have a lot of tiered dresses, but I don't feel like I can wear them because I'm breastfeeding right now. But this has ties in the front, so it's breastfeeding friendly. It's amazing. I have actually used it in public, breastfed her. We went to the Tulip Festival in Washington a couple weeks ago, and I wore this, and I had to feed her in the tulip fields, and I could just do that very easily with this. So it was great. I guess the only thing about this that I'm a little like that I don't love is I feel like the armholes are a little bit deep. So your bra kind of shows when you're wearing it. So maybe I'll pull the armholes up again if I make the sleeveless version. I think I'm going to do sleeves on the top though. So just something to consider if you are making this. But your bra kind of shows in the front anyway between the ties. So I don't know, whatever. I just wore a white bra and it was fine. Um, so yeah, that's my Sid tie dress. Yeah, that's it. I really like it. The pattern was exceptionally well written. There are support videos on YouTube. Um, there's like it's pretty straightforward. There's a couple interesting skills. Like there's a nice mitered corner on these little on the binding. There's a mitered corner on the front facing, but I think she does a really great job of explaining how to do that, and the video support was super helpful. So I think this would be a great beginner pattern if you wanted to try it. And I think it looks. I tried really hard to be very professional when I was sewing this. Sometimes I'm a late, not sometimes, I am generally a lazy sewist. But I wanted this to look really nice. So I spent a good amount of time with the finishing and clipped all my threads and everything. And I think it looks really cute. So yes, that's my Sid tie top. And then I guess this is kind of still a work in progress. I wanted to make some like boxer short-esque kind of things because they're trendy right now. So I used the Peppermint Magazine loungewear set and just made the shorts of them. But I cut out the pattern before I had the baby. So my body's a little different now, and they just fit a little bit tighter than I wanted them to. So they're fine. I didn't hem them obviously because I wasn't sure if I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep them. But yeah, here they are. This striped green and white striped fabric bed sheet from the thrift store. And has pockets. I think I might make them again slightly larger without the pockets. I don't know. I'm undecided. They were really quick to sew up. This took me like just a couple of hours to do, like an hour or two. But they just fit a little bit more slim than I was expecting. I don't know. Let me know what you think. And I need to decide if I keep them, where to hem them to. I may offer them to my friend Meg, who is also a sewer. Um, she's a little smaller than I am. So we'll see about that. If she wants them, great. If she doesn't, that's fine too. So yes, that's the other thing I sewed. And then actually I did sew one more thing that I don't have with me. I made a little bucket hat for Caroline because we went out of town last week to visit some family, and I thought, it would be nice to have a hat if we're like out walking around and she needs to keep the sun off of her. I used a free pattern from a blog. I don't remember what it's called, but I will link it down below. Um, and I made the smallest size of the hat, but it actually turned out a little bit big. So I gave it to my niece who we were visiting, and she's 3 and it fit her really well. So she's keeping that. I could make another one for Caroline and kind of grade the pattern down even a little bit smaller. But as we're coming into the sunnier months, as you can see, it's a beautiful sunny day in Seattle today. Um, as we're coming into the sunnier months, she needs to have a hat to keep the sun off of her when we're in the stroller, walking the stroller, or in the carrier or whatever. So I will make another one of those. But it was fun. It was very easy to make the little bucket hat. I'll put a picture of it here. It's very cute. And yeah, so yes, that is my sewing from this month. I want to do some more sewing. I want to make the Sid tie dress, or the top in the green version. I think it'll be cute to wear to work, which I'm going back to work in like a month and a half. I'm very not excited about it, but it is happening, so I need to embrace that. And I have to dress like not super professionally. I can wear jeans, but I need to look put together at work. So a new top might help me feel a little less anxious about the whole thing. So yeah, that is that. What else? Works in progress, I suppose. I only have one work in progress, which is not going to look any different than last time we saw it. It's my Amy slipover, which I'm still working on, by Sennis Garn. I had finished the front and back when I showed it to you last month, and I was like, I need to add some length. So I pulled out the ribbing on the back part, and I started to add length. And I added like 2 inches of length, and then realized that I had used the wrong needle size. I had to rip it all out again. But I guess, I don't know if this is boring for me to like talk to you about my plans or something that you're not seeing any change in, but last time I told you I was going to make it a little bit wider. I changed my mind. I'm not making it wider. I'm just making it longer. So this is the back. I've put it back on the correct needle size. And now that I've finished the little hat, I will probably pick this back up again. But I'm going to knit it probably. So you see where the front is, like that ribbing. I think I'm going to knit the stockinette almost that long, and then I'm going to do a shorter ribbing. So this currently has like 4 inches of ribbing on it, which just feels too long. I'm going to do more like 3 inches of ribbing. So I'm going to add like 3 inches of stockinette and 3 inches of ribbing. Maybe 2 inches of stockinette and 3 inches of ribbing just to lengthen it a little bit more. Um, yeah, actually, if this is 4 inches from where I am currently, and I add 3 inches of stockinette and 3 inches of ribbing, that will be 6 inches longer. So it will only be 2 inches longer than it is here, and I think that's good. So that's probably my plan. 3 more inches of stockinette, 3 more inches of ribbing. Yes, I really want to have this done. I'm tired of it being on needles, and I want to be able to wear it. So hopefully, next time I talk to you, this will be done. But I think I said that like the last 2 times I talked to you. So we'll see about that. This is Hillesvåg Ask in an unknown colorway. I bought it at the Hillesvåg mill in Norway. Oh, and I also decided I'm not going to do any edging on the armholes or anything. I'm just going to do I-cord ties on the sides. So I'm going to do at least one on each side. I might do 2, depending on how it looks. But yeah, that's my plan for this. I really want to have it done. I'm just tired of having it on the needles, and I don't want it to get neglected. So yeah, that's my plan for that. The baby is awake, so I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly. Plans wise, did I grab plans wise? I had a little swatch party. I've done some swatching This is a little tiny swatch I made out of the Newtiden that I bought in February, in the February shop update, in the color, I don't remember, but I'll put it on the screen. It's a really pretty kind of like buttery yellow with some orangey bits in it. And I swatched this on, I don't remember what needle size, I think a 4.5, because I was originally planning to make the cloud top or the cloud sweater from Petite Knit in this, but my gauge is a little too tight for that, and I don't think I want to knit this fabric any looser. So my other thought was that, like, how many drop shoulder sweaters from Petite Knit do I really need to buy? Like, they're all not that different. So I'm going back to my previous original plan, which is I was inspired by the Hella sweater by Stricke Cafe. It has the kind of similar rolled details like on the slipover with the ribbing, and that is on my slipover that I just showed you, and also on the cloud top, but it's at a gauge that's really chunky. So I was originally just going to make that using a Petite Knit pattern and like freestyle it. And then the cloud top came out, and I was like, oh, I'll make that. I'll just follow that pattern. But then my swatch actually matches for a different Petite Knit drop shoulder pattern that I have. So I'm going back to my original plan to modify the chestnut sweater by Petite Knit to look like the cloud sweater. So this is the gauge for the chestnut sweater. It works. So I'm going to do that. I think I want to cast it on here pretty soon. It's not very summery, but I don't care. I have not, this jacket being the first object I've finished for myself this year is kind of crazy because we're now in May. So I want to take some time to do some selfish knitting. I've done a lot of knitting for my baby and now done some gift knitting. I'm ready to knit for me. So that's what this is going to be. I'm really excited about it. I love the color. I washed this swatch. I like how the yarn is feeling. This is my first time working with Newtiden, so I'm really excited. And yeah, that's going to be something. I think I'll have that cast on by the time I talk to you next. And then I'm also done this giant swatch party for my other project I want to do, which is a V-neck sweater. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do the Harlow V-neck by Kadri or sweater number 14 V-neck by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I'm using Cascade Yarns Aereo, which is a blown yarn. It's really soft and lovely. I bought it for a different project last year, and then I didn't end up liking that project. So I'm doing this giant swatch, and I'm just swatching the gauge for those two patterns. The Harlow V-neck and the sweater number 14 is quite different. So I'm just doing a giant swatch with the same yarn to see how my gauge works across different needle sizes, and then I'll pick the pattern that I'm going to make depending on the fabric that I like. So this is 4.5, 5, 5.5, and then I'm just doing the knitting on a 6mm needle right now. 4.5 is what's called for the Harlow sweater, and 6mm is what's called for the sweater number 14. And I was originally thinking I would like the tighter gauge fabric more, but as I've gone up in needle size, I actually really like the looser gauge fabric. So I think I'm leaning more towards the My Favorite Things knitwear pattern right now. But I'll finish this swatch off, wash it, and see what gauge and fabric and everything turns out properly. But yeah, that's what's going on right here. I've just knit each of these little chunks, and I'm kind of marked with purl bumps what needle size it is. So yeah, that's swatch number 1. And I think I'm trying to decide which of these two sweaters I'm going to cast on next. I'm leaning towards this one, but I guess you'll have to stay tuned and see. And then the other thing I wanted to swatch for, this is my handspun yarn that I showed you last time, and this is the Frost Wool DK from Scotland that my mother-in-law brought me last year from her trip to Scotland, and I went to swatch them together for a Great Gingham Raglan. Basically, I've seen mixed reviews about the Great Gingham Raglan, and I don't love the neckline on that sweater. So my current plan is to swatch the gingham pattern, which I've done in a pair of gingham socks, and like it's pretty straightforward, a gingham pattern. I'm going to swatch these two and see what I think. And then I may just end up like finding a raglan that works with this gauge and knitting the gingham pattern on that sweater from the top down, because the Great Gingham is knit bottom up and the neck line is not my favorite. So that's my current plan. We'll see. I'm going to swatch. I'll show you the swatch next time. I wanted to show it to TJ, but I did not have time last night because, I have a limited amount of time for myself. But anyway, we'll see how it looks. I'm not sure that this is the combo I want to do. I know I want to use this yarn for the Great Gingham, but I'm not sure if I want to do a plain color hand spun or if I want to do like a color changing yarn. So we'll see. I'll let you know. But that's my plan for those at the moment. Other than that, I started spinning my knitted in fiber, which I think will be kind of tricky. It's a very different spinning experience than the Jacob was, this one. This was like combed top, so it was kind of, it gripped onto itself really easily and spun very well. That is like a carded bat, which I've never done before, so it's spinning up differently, but well. And then, so I started that last night. I didn't get very far because I was getting a little bit frustrated, so I just put it down. But I'm going to keep working on that kind of slowly over the next couple of weeks. I'm not in a rush to finish that anytime soon because I don't know what I'm going to use it for. But that was a spinning thing I've been working on. Hi. Been It's been like 2 hours since I got up. My camera died. The baby woke up. She had to eat. Blah blah blah. We played. It's been hours, but we're gonna finish the video. Appreciate your flexibility. Before I abandoned you, I wanted to talk about this fiber, which is my only acquisition for the month. My mother, the lovely lady that she is, found this at the Creative Reuse thrift store near where she lives in California. It's called East Bay Creative Reuse. They have lots of good stuff. But she got 2 pounds of this fiber, which is this like kind of bluey gray color. And I think it's like a BFL or something because it's very shiny, and very like, I don't know, soft. It might be a merino. I don't know my wools very well, but it's really lovely. I'm pretty sure it is wool. Um, so I'm excited. She got 2 pounds of it and sent it to me. So I have all of this and I'm gonna spin for a sweater. This isn't like maybe a color I would pick for myself, but it was a great deal and it's a lot of roving. So I'm gonna use it. I have a light gray and a dark gray ready to wear sweaters from H&M. They're like the same model, just like a very basic plain stockinette sweater. But they're acrylic and so they're not that nice, but I wear them a lot because they're thin and light and plain and easy to style. So I would like to knit replacements for those. So maybe this will be the light gray one, and I do have some dark gray yarn in my stash that I could use to make a dark gray one. But anyway, it's not, maybe not like the most me color, this kind of bluey gray, but I like it and I think it's pretty. And I'm excited to see how it spins. So that is going to be a very long-term project, but something that we may see in the future. Okay, I think that's it. That's all I had to chit chat with you about today. We talked about plans, we talked about finished objects, we talked about spinning, we talked about knitting, we talked about sewing. Life-wise, I guess, I got a haircut. As you can tell, I got it yesterday. I don't like it. She cut off way more than I wanted her to, and it just feels very short. But I'm getting used to it because there's nothing you can do about hair that's too short except for get extensions, and I'm not doing it. So anyway, it is what it is. The baby's great. She's wonderful. She's almost 3 months old, and I can't believe it. Time's gone really fast. I'm going back to work in about 6 weeks, as like I mentioned earlier, which I'm not excited about. I like my job, but I'm just anxious about leaving her. She will be fine. She will be well cared for, but we've only been apart for like maybe at most an hour and a half the last 3 months. So it's going to be an adjustment, maybe more for me than it is for her, but it'll be okay. I only have to go into my office twice a week, and then the rest of the time I'm at home, and she will be here, and so we can still spend lots of lovely time together. Beyond that, the weather's getting beautiful. I'm really excited to knit more things. I feel like I have not been the best. Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit about Me Made May, I guess, because it's May. If you're not familiar, it's just like a month every year on Instagram and the internet. People wear things that they made themselves and talk about sustainable, slow fashion. People make goals, blah, blah, blah. I think my goal is to make something for myself in Me Made May because, like I said earlier, my Miles shirt jacket is the first object I've finished for myself this year, and we're like a third of the way through the year. So I want to knit more for me because I love to knit and it brings me joy. But I just need to knit more simple things, I think. I love color work. I love cables, but I don't wear them as often as I wear very simple pieces. So it's kind of sad, a sad like realization because they're just not as fun to make, but I do need to knit things that are practical because I want to wear my pieces. So yes, I'll probably cast on one of those sweaters for me this month. I'm excited about that. And I feel like I should be knitting for summer, but I just know that I'm the biggest summer knits person. So um, I have summer yarns in my stash. I can make summery things. I'm just not feeling like there's not really any patterns that are super calling to me right now for knitting summer knits, except for, I guess, the mini mock neck tank by Jessie Made, which is another thing I want to swatch for. I need to add it to my swatch party pile. I should probably cast that on before I do like the gingham or something a little bit more complex. But yes, so I don't know. That's all I have to say, I guess. Um, I am gonna film this dash tour video imminently, hoping to do that over a nap time or two this week or next week and get that up for you before June. And yeah, hopefully I will have some more time for knitting um, over this month. Baby's getting into more of a routine, at least at nighttime. She has like a pretty consistent bedtime, so I do have like at least an hour or two of knitting time every night. It's less than I wish it was, but that's what I have. So I'm slowly making progress on things, and hopefully I'll have more of them things to talk to you about next month. I would really love to do a Q&A, so if you have any questions for me, leave them down below. I'm happy to answer them. And yeah, that's really it for me today. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry it was a bit in and out chaotic. But yeah, I think hopefully there will be more fun things to see in the future. And thanks for sticking around. I know it hasn't been the most exciting couple of months of knitting content, but I'm doing it. I'm doing my best. So, hope you're all well. Love you very much. Appreciate you being here, and I will talk to you again soon.